Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from chapter 27 of the 10th canto, Lord Indra and Mother Surabhi offer prayers. This chapter describes how the Surabhi cow and Indra, having seen the amazing power of Lord Krishna, performed a bathing ceremony for him. Ashamed of having attacked Vrindavan with a violent storm, Indra secretly came before Lord Krishna, offered obeisances, and praised him. Indra stated that although Sri Krishna is never caught in the current of material illusion, which is born of ignorance, he nevertheless accepts a human-like body and performs various activities to establish religious principles and chastise the wicked. By this means, he crushes the false prestige of those who presume themselves great controllers. Indra went on to declare that Krishna is the Father, Guru, and Lord of all living entities, and that in the form of time, he is the agent of their punishment. Satisfied with Indra's prayers, Sri Krishna told him that he had stopped the Indra Yajna so that Indra, puffed up as he was with false pride, would remember the Lord. Persons intoxicated by material opulence never see him standing before them, and the rod of punishment in his hand. Therefore, if Krishna desires the actual good fortune of some person, he brings him down from his position in opulence. Lord Krishna ordered Indra to return to his proper position in heaven and to serve there without egotism. Indra, along with the cow Surabhi, then performed a bathing ceremony for Krishna. Using the water of the heavenly Ganges and the milk of Mother Surabhi, Indra and the cow took this opportunity to bestow upon the Lord the name Govinda. And the demigod showered flowers and recited various prayers. Shri Shukha Uvacha Govardhane Dhrite Shaile Asarad Rakshite Vraje Golokad Avrajad Krishnam Surabhi Shakra Evacha. Shukadeva Goswami said, after Krishna had lifted Govardhan hill and thus protected the inhabitants of Braj from the terrible rainfall, Surabhi, the mother of cows, came from her planet to see Krishna. She was accompanied by Indra. The word Golokat here indicates the material planet called Goloka, which is filled with exceptional cows. Surabhi went joyfully to see Lord Krishna, but Indra went fearfully. As indicated by this verse, Lord Krishna had to adopt extraordinary measures to protect his Vrindavan associates from Indra's obnoxious and offensive attack. Certainly, Indra was ashamed and also nervous about his future. Having acted improperly, he had fearfully gone to seek shelter of Lord Brahma, who then ordered him to take along Surabhi from the material Goloka planet and go to see Krishna. Vivikta upasangamya vridhita Krita helana Pasparsha padayorenam kiritenarka varchasa. Indra was very ashamed of having offended the Lord. Approaching him in a solitary place, Indra fell down and lay his helmet, whose effulgence was as brilliant as the sun, upon the Lord's lotus feet. The specific solitary place where Indra approached Sri Krishna is mentioned by the sage Sri Vaishampayana in the Harivamsha, Vishnu Parva 19.3. So Dadarsho Visham Vai Govardhana Shila Tale. He saw him, Krishna, sitting at the base of Govardhan hill. From the commentaries of the Acharyas, we understand that Lord Krishna wanted to provide a solitary meeting for Indra so that he would not be further humiliated. Indra came to surrender and beg forgiveness, and the Lord allowed him to do so privately. Drishtashrutanu Krishnasya Mita Tejasa Nashtatri Lokesha Mada Idam Aha Kritanjali. Indra had now heard of and seen the transcendental power of the omnipotent Krishna, and his false pride in being the Lord of the three worlds was thus defeated. Holding his hands together in supplication, he addressed the Lord as follows. Indra vacha Vishuddha Sattvam Tavadhama Shantam Tapomayam Dvashtarajastamastam Maya Mayoyam Guna Samprabhaho Navidyate Tragrahananubhanda. King Indra said, your transcendental form, a manifestation of pure goodness, is undisturbed by change, shining with knowledge, and devoid of passion and ignorance. In you In you does not exist the mighty flow of the modes of material nature, which is based on illusion and ignorance. The great Bhagavatam commentator Srila Sridhar Swami has masterfully explained the Sanskrit elements of this profound verse. The Sanskrit word Dhamma has several meanings: a dwelling, place, house, abode, and so on. A favorite thing, a person, delight or pleasure, form or appearance, power, strength, majesty, glory, splendor, or light. Concerning the first set of meanings, the Vedanta Sutra states that the Absolute Truth is the source and resting place of all existence. And in the first verse of the Bhagavatam, the Absolute Truth is said to be Krishna. Although Krishna exists in his own Dhamma or abode called Krishna Loka, he himself is the abode of all existence, as Arjuna confirms in the Bhagavad Gita, where he addresses Krishna as Param Dhamma, the supreme abode. The very name Krishna indicates the all-attractive person, and thus Lord Krishna, the source of all beauty and pleasure, is certainly the favorite thing or person, delight and pleasure. Ultimately, these terms can refer only to Krishna. Dhamma also refers to form or appearance, and as Indra offered these prayers, he was in fact directly seeing the form of Krishna before him, as clearly explained in the Vedic literature. Lord Krishna's power, strength, majesty, splendor, and effulgence are all contained within his transcendental body, and thus attest to the infinite glories of the Lord. Srila Sridhar Swami has brilliantly summarized all these meanings of the word Dhamma by giving the Sanskrit term Swarupa as a synonym. The word Swarupa means one's own form or shape, and also one's own condition, character, or nature. Since Lord Krishna, being pure spirit, is non-different from his body, there's absolutely no difference between the Lord and his visible form. By contrast, in this material world, we are conditioned souls. We conditioned souls are all distinctly different from our bodies, whether those bodies be male, female, black, white, or whatever. All of us are eternal souls different from our temporary, flimsy bodies. When the word Swarupa is applied to us, it especially indicates our spiritual form, because our own form is in fact our own character or nature, eternally. Thus, the liberated condition is in which one's outward form is one's deepest spiritual nature is called Sarupa. Primarily, however, this term refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This is all indicated in this verse by the word Tavadhama, as explained by Sridhar Swami. Sridhar Swami has explained that here the word Shantam means always in the same form. Shantam can also mean undisturbed, free from passion, or purified. According to Vedic philosophy, all change in this world is caused by the influence of passion and ignorance. The passionate mode is creative, and the ignorant mode is destructive, whereas the mode of goodness, sattva, is serene and sustaining. In many ways, this verse emphasizes that Lord Krishna is free from the modes of nature. The word Vishuddha Sattvam, Shantam, Dvashtha, Rajas, Tamaskam, and Guna, Sampravaho, Navidyate te, all indicate this. Unlike Krishna, we change from one body to another because of our involvement with the modes of nature. The various transformations of material forms are impelled by the modes of nature, which are themselves set in motion by the influence of time. Therefore, one who is free from the material modes of nature is changeless and eternally satisfied in blissful spiritual existence. Thus, the word Shantam indicates that the Lord is undisturbed by change, since he is free from the material modes of nature. According to this verse, the powerful flow of the material modes of nature, namely passion, stupidity, and mundane piety, are based on agrahana, which Srila Sridhar Swami has translated as ignorance. Since the Sanskrit root grah means to accept, to take, grasp, or comprehend, grahana means grasp, exactly in the sense to grasp an idea or fact. Therefore, agrahana means one's failure to understand one's spiritual position, and this failure causes one to fall into the violent currents of material existence. An additional meaning of the word agrahana is derived when it is divided into the compound agrahana. Agra means first, top, or best, and hana means killing. The best part of our existence is the pure soul, which is eternal, in contradistinction to the temporary material body and mind. Thus, one who chooses material existence over Krishna consciousness is in fact killing the best part of himself, the soul, which in its pure state can enjoy Krishna consciousness unlimitedly. Sri Sridhar Swami has translated tapomayam as full of knowledge. The word tapas, generally indicating austerity, is derived from the Sanskrit verb tap, whose meaning can be summarized as indicating the various functions of the sun. Tap means to burn, to shine, to heat, and so on. The Supreme Lord is eternally perfect, and therefore here tapomanam does not indicate that his transcendental body is meant for austerities, since austerities are performed by conditioned souls to purify themselves to acquire a particular power. An omnipotent, perfect being neither purifies himself nor acquires power. He is eternally pure and all-powerful. Therefore, Sridhar Swami has intelligently understood that in this case the word tapas refers to the illuminating function of the sun, and thus indicates that the Lord's self-effulgent body is omniscient. Light is a common symbol of knowledge. The Lord's spiritual effulgence does not merely illuminate physically, as in the case of a candle or light bulb. More importantly, the Lord's body illuminates our consciousness with perfect knowledge, because the Lord's effulgence is itself pure knowledge. We offer our respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Sridhar Swami and thank him for his enlightening comments on this verse. Kuto nutadde tava isha tatkrita lobhadayo ye buddhalinga bhava tathapi dandam bhagavan vibharti dharmasya guptye khala nirgrahaya. How then could there exist in you the symptoms of an ignorant person, such as greed, lust, anger, and envy, which are produced by one's previous involvement in material existence, and which cause one to further entangle in material existence? And yet, as the Supreme Lord, you impose punishment to protect religious principles and curb down the wicked. This complex philosophical statement by Indra may be analyzed as follows. In the first line of this verse, Indra refers to the main idea expressed at the end of the previous verse, namely, that the great currents of material existence which are based on ignorance cannot possibly exist within the Supreme Lord. The words Tat Devata, Detava, and Tat Krita indicate that something causes the modes of nature to manifest, and that they in turn become cause of that which caused them. In the second line of this verse, we find that it is material feelings such as greed, lust, envy, and anger that cause the modes of nature to manifest, and that are themselves caused by the modes of nature. The explanation of the seeming paradox is as follows. When the conditioned soul decides to associate with the material qualities, he becomes contaminated by those qualities. As stated in Gita 13:22, Karanam guna sangosya sadasad yoni janmasu. For example, in the presence of a seductive woman, a man may give to his lower instincts and try to enjoy sex with her. By his deciding to associate with the lower qualities of nature, those qualities manifest in him very powerfully. He is overwhelmed with lust and driven to try again and again to satisfy his burning desire. Because his mind has been infected by lust, all that he does, thinks and speaks will be influenced by his strong attachment to sex. In other words, by choosing to associate with the lusty qualities of nature, he has caused them to powerfully manifest within himself. And eventually, those lusty qualities themselves will cause him to accept another material body suitable for affairs governed by those qualities. The lower qualities such as lust, greed, anger, and envy are abuddha linga bhava, symptoms of ignorance. Indeed, as indicated by Srila Sridhar Swami in his commentary, the manifestation of the modes of nature is synonymous with the manifestation of a particular material body. It is clearly explained throughout the Vedic literature that the conditioned soul receives a particular body, gives it up, and then accepts another, simply because of his involvement with the modes of nature. Karanam guna sangosya. Thus, to say that one is participating in the modes of nature is to say that one is accepting particular types of bodies suitable for the particular material qualities one is involved with. An ignorant bystander might have simplistically interpreted Krishna's pastime of lifting Govardhan Hill as follows. The residents of Vrindavan were obliged by Vedic principles to make certain offerings to the god of heaven, Indra. Child Krishna, ignoring the position of Indra, usurped these offerings and took them for his own pleasure. When Indra tried to punish Krishna and his associates, the Lord frustrated Indra's attempt, humiliated him, and exhausted his pride and resources. But this superficial interpretation is refuted in this verse. Here, Lord Indra addresses Sri Krishna as Bhagavan, indicating that he is not an ordinary child, but in fact God. Therefore, Krishna's punishing Indra was part of his mission in protecting religious principles and curbing down the envious. It was not a display of material anger or of greed, for the offerings meant for Indra. Sri Krishna is pure spiritual existence, and his simple sublime desire is to engage all living beings in the perfect blissful life of Krishna consciousness. Krishna's desire to make us Krishna conscious is not egotistical, since ultimately Krishna is everything, and Krishna consciousness is objectively the best consciousness. Lord Indra is really the humble servant of Krishna, a fact he is now beginning to remember. Pita Gurustvam Jagatam Duratya Kalat Uppata Danda Hitaya Checha Tanubhi Samhi Hase Manam Vidhunvan Jagadisha Maninam. You are the father and the spiritual master of this entire universe, and also its supreme controller. Your insurmountable time imposing punishment upon the sinful for their own benefit. Indeed, in your various incarnations selected by your own free will, you act decisively to remove the false pride of those who presume themselves masters of this world. The word Hitaya is significant here. Lord Krishna protects religion and chastises the wicked for the benefit of the entire universe. Foolish and faithless pseudo-priests criticize God for punishing the living entities through the actions of nature. But whether Lord Krishna punishes them indirectly through the nature or directly in his incarnations as mentioned here, he has a perfect right to do so because he is the Father, spiritual master, and supreme controller of the entire universe. Another way he curbs down the false attempts of the conditioned soul to establish the kingdom of God without God is through his feature as insurmountable time. It is said, "Spread the rod and spoil the child." That is a fact, and it is actually the Lord's mercy that he takes the trouble to rectify our behavior, although faithless persons criticize the Lord's fatherly vigilance. Yemadvidhagna jagadisha manina stvam vikshikale bhayamashitan madam hitvarya margam prabhajanti appasmaya iha khalanam apite nusasanam. Even fools like me who proudly think themselves universal lords quickly give up their conceit and directly take to the path of the spiritually progressive. When they see you are fearless, even in the face of time, you punish the mischievous only to instruct them. History is filled with examples of the supreme authority breaking the conceit of foolish men. Modern and world leaders proudly fight one another, placing the common people in unprecedented jeopardy. Similarly, Indra, proud of his apparent illustrious position, dared to threaten the lives of innocent residents of Vrindavan with terrible weapons, until his arrogance was curbed by the dynamic response of the Supreme Lord. Nowadays, governments in the Western countries tend to be elected democratically, and thus the mass of people become identified with the destiny of their leaders. When the proud leaders engage in violence, the people who elected them bear the brunt of such belligerent decisions. Thus, the people of the democratic nations of the world should elect Krishna-conscious leaders who will establish an administration consonant with the laws of God. If they fail to do so, their materialistic leaders, oblivious of the will of the Supreme Lord, will undoubtedly be chastised by cataclysmic events, and the people who elected such leaders, being responsible for their leaders' acts, will share in the suffering. It is ironic that in modern democracies, not only do the leaders consider themselves universal controllers, but the mass of people considering the leaders merely their representatives, rather than the representatives of God, also consider themselves as people to be the controllers of their nation. Thus, the chastisement mentioned in this verse has become unprecedentedly applicable to people in general in the modern world. Modern man should not simply make himself a lesson of nature by falling down from his proud position. Rather, he should submissively execute the will of the all-attractive personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, Sri Krishna, and usher in a new era of sanity, tranquility, and widespread enlightenment. Sattvam mamaishvarya madplutasya Kritagasaste vidusha prabhavam Shantam prabhotar hasimura chetaso Maivam punar bhunmatirisha me sati. Gross in pride over my ruling power, ignorant of your majesty, I offend you. O my Lord, may you please forgive me. May you forgive me. My intelligence was bewildered, but let my consciousness never again be so impure. Although Lord Krishna protected the residents of Braj by lifting Govardhan hill, he had not yet punished Indra himself. And Indra feared that at any moment Sri Krishna might call the son of Vivaswan, Yamaraj, who punishes impudent persons who defy the laws of God. Indra was quite fearful and thus begged the Lord's forgiveness on the plea that he could be purified only by Krishna's mercy. Now he was too stubborn to learn a good lesson through mere punishment. In fact, despite Indra's humility in this case, his heart was not completely purified. Later on in this canto, we find that when Lord Krishna once took a parijata flower from Indra's kingdom, poor Indra again reacted violently against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, we should aspire to go back to our eternal home in the kingdom of Krishna, should not become entangled in the imperfect life of the material gods. Tavavataro yamadhokshajeha bhuvo bharanam urubhara janmanam chamupatinam abhavaya deva bhavaya yushmat charananuvartinam. You descend into this world, O transcendent Lord, to destroy the warlords who burden the earth and create many terrible disturbances. O Lord, you simultaneously act for the welfare of those who faithfully serve your lotus feet. This verse utilizes an attractive poetic device. Lord Krishna's descent into the world is said to be for the abhava, literally non-existence or destruction of demoniac warlords, and simultaneously for the bhava, or existence, prosperity of those who faithfully serve the Lord's lotus feet. True existence indicates here by the word abhava is Satchit Ananda, eternal and full of bliss and knowledge. To an uninformed observer, it may appear that Sri Krishna is simply rewarding his followers and punishing his enemies, the way an ordinary person might do. This specific doubt about the Lord is raised extensively in the 6th canto in connection with Krishna's taking the side of faithful demigods against the faithless demons in a particular cosmic war. In that canto, the Vaishnava authorities clearly explain that in fact Lord Krishna is the Father and Lord of all living beings, and that all his activities are therefore meant for the benefit of all existence. Lord Krishna does not really cause the non-existence of anyone. Rather, he curbs the foolish, destructive material ways of those who defy the laws of God. These laws are created to ensure the prosperity, harmony, and happiness of the entire creation, and their violation is an unjustifiable disturbance. Certainly, Indra hoped that Lord Krishna would count him among the devotees and not the demons. Although considering Indra's action, one might doubt where his loyalties actually lay. Indra was aware of this possible doubt, and thus, as we find the next verse, he tried his best to surrender to the Supreme Lord. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Purushaya Mahatmane Vasudevaya Krishnaya Sattvatam Pataye Namaha. Obeisances unto you, the Supreme Personality Godhead, the Great Soul, who are all-pervading and who reside in the hearts of all. My obeisances unto you, Krishna, the chief of the Yadu dynasty. Swachandapatta dehaya vishuddha jnana murtaye sarvasmay sarvabhijaya sarvabhutatmane namaha. Unto him who assumes the transcendental bodies according to their desire of his devotees, unto him whose form is itself pure consciousness, unto him who is everything, who is the seed of everything, and who is the soul of all creatures, I offer my obeisances. We could hardly construe from the first line of the verse that God is somehow impersonal, but assumes a personal material body. It is clearly said here that the Lord assumes different forms according to swachanda, according to his own desire, or according to the desires of his devotees. An impersonal God could hardly reciprocate with the personal desires of its devotees, nor could an impersonal God itself have desire, since desire is characteristic of personality. Therefore, the Lord's manifesting different forms in a personal way, responding to personal desires, indicates that he is eternally a person and manifests his different transcendental bodies as an expression of his own eternal nature. The word Vishuddha Jnana Murtaye is most significant. Murti means the form of the deity, and it is specifically stated here that the Lord's form is itself completely pure consciousness. Consciousness is a primary spiritual element, distinct from any of the material elements, and even distinct from the subtler or psychological material elements. Mundane mind, intelligence, and false ego, which are simply a psychic covering over pure consciousness. Since the Lord's form is made of pure consciousness, it can hardly be understood as a material body, like the mortal bags of flesh and bones we carry around in this world. In the last 2 lines of this verse, there's a poetic emphasis on the word sarva, everything. The Lord is everything. He's the seed of everything, and He's the soul of every creature. Therefore, let us join with Indra in offering our obeisances to the Lord. Mayedam Bhagavan Goshta Nashaya Saravayubhi Chesitam Vihate Yagne Manina Tivra Manyuna. My dear Lord, when my sacrifice was disrupted, I became fiercely angry because of my false pride. Thus, I tried to destroy your cowherd community with severe rain and wind. Tvaye shanu grihitosmi dvashta stambho vritodam dyama Ishwaram Gurum Atmanam Tvamah Aham Sharanam Gata. O Lord, you have shown mercy to me by shattering my false pride and defeating my attempt to punish Vrindavan. To you, the Supreme Lord, Spiritual Master, and Supreme Soul, I have now come for shelter. Shri Shukha Uvacha Evam Sankirtita Krishna Maghona Bhagavan Megha Gambhiraya Vacha Prahasan Idam Abravit. Shukadeva Goswami said, thus glorified by Indra, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality Godhead, smiled, then spoke to him as follows in a voice resonant like the clouds. Although in this pastime Lord Krishna appeared to be a small boy, the word Megha Gambhiraya Vacha indicates that he spoke to Indra with deep resonant voice of the Supreme Lord. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Mayate Kari Maghavan Makhabhango Nugrinata Mad Anusmritaye Nityam Matasyendra Shriyabhrisham. The Supreme Personality Godhead said, my dear Indra, it was out of mercy that I stopped the sacrifice meant for you. You were greatly intoxicated by your opulence as King of Heaven, and I wanted you to always remember me. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, Indra and Lord Krishna here exchange a heart-to-heart talk. Indra revealed his mind to the Lord, and now Lord Krishna similarly reveals his own intention. In text 11 of the chapter, Indra emphatically declares that Lord Krishna is in fact everything, and thus, according to Indra's own criteria, forgetting Lord Krishna is clearly a state of insanity. When the Supreme Lord reminds us of His supreme existence, He's not proudly advertising Himself like a mundane politician or entertainer. The Lord is self-satisfied in His own infinite existence and is trying lovingly to bring us back to our own perfect existence and His eternal associates. From God's point of view, even the mighty King of Heaven, Indra, is a mere child, and a naughty child at that. And thus the Lord, being a caring father, punished his child and brought him back to sanity of Krishna consciousness. Mama Ishwarya Shri Madandho Dandapanim na Pashyati Dambram Shrayami Sampadbhyo Yasya Chamyanugraham. A mind blinded by intoxication with his power and opulence cannot see me nearby with the rod of punishment in my hand. If I desire his real welfare, I drag him down from his materially fortunate position. One may argue God should desire everyone's real welfare. Therefore, why should Lord Krishna state in this verse that He removes the intoxicating opulence of one who is about to receive His mercy, rather than simply stating that He will remove everyone's opulence and bless everyone? On the other hand, we may point out that irrevocable death occurs for anyone On the other hand, we may point out that irrevocable death occurs for everyone, and thus Lord Krishna does take away everyone's opulence and everyone's false pride. However, if we apply the Lord's statement to events within one's immediate life, before that we may refer to Krishna's statement in the Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sathaiva bhajamiham. As people surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. Lord Krishna desires everyone's welfare, but when he says here, Yasya chechami anugraham, for one whose welfare I desire, it is understood that the Lord refers to those who by their own activities and thoughts have manifested a desire to achieve spiritual benefit. Lord Krishna wants everyone to be happy in Krishna consciousness, but when he sees that a specific person also desires spiritual happiness, the Lord especially desires it for that person. This is a natural act of reciprocation consistent with the Lord's statement, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu, I'm equal in my attitude to all living beings. Gamyatam Shakra Bhadram Va Kriyatam Menusasanam Stiyatam Swadhikareshu Yukter Vastamba Varjite. Indra, you may now go execute my order and remain in your appointed position as king of heaven. But be sober with that false pride. Lord Krishna here addresses Indra in plural form, Va, because his grave instruction was meant to be a lesson for all the demigods. Ataha surabhi Krishnam abhivandya manasvani swasantaner upamantriya goparupinam ishwaram. Mother Surabhi, along with her progeny, the cows, then offered her obeisances to Lord Krishna, respectfully requesting his attention. The gentle lady addressed the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was present before her as a cowherd boy. The statement here that the heavenly cow Surabhi approached Lord Krishna along with her progeny, Swasantane, is a reference to the transcendental cows who plays with Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. Although Lord Krishna's cows are transcendental, the heavenly cow, Surabhi, affectionately saw them, as indeed Lord Krishna himself did, as related to her. Since Lord Krishna was appearing in the form of a cowherd boy, the whole situation was quite congenial, and Surabhi took the opportunity to offer the following prayers. Surabhi Ruvacha Krishna Krishna Mahayogin Vishwatman Vishwasambhava Bhavata Lokanathena Sanata Vayamachita. Mother Surabhi said, O Krishna, Krishna, greatest of mystics, O soul and origin of the universe, you are the master of the world, and by your grace, O infallible Lord, we have you as our master. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out here that Mother Surabhi is feeling great ecstasy as she repeats the word Krishna, Krishna. Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill by his mystic power and thus protected the cows of Vrindavan, whereas their so-called master Indra had tried to kill them. Thus Surabhi now clearly understands that it is not the demigods, but rather the Supreme God, Krishna himself, who is her real master forever. Twamna paramatkam daivam, twamna indro jagatpate, bhavaya bhava go vipra, devanam yecha sadhava. You are a worshipable deity, therefore, O Lord of the universe, for the benefit of the cows, the brahmanas, the demigods, and all other saintly persons, please become our Indra. The Supreme Lord is self-effulgent. He can do everything himself. The Lord appointed one of his innumerable children to the position of Indra, the Lord of the cosmic heaven. But Indra abused this authority, and now Surabhi requests Lord Krishna, the absolute truth, to directly become her Lord, her Indra. We should carefully perform our duties without false pride. Thus we will not become obsolete and embarrassed, as in the present case of King Indra, who actually attacked Lord Krishna and his Vrindavan devotees. Indram nastva bhishekshyamo brahmana chorita vayam avatirno shri vishwatman bhumir bharapanutaye. As ordered by Lord Brahma, we shall perform your bathing ceremony to coronate you as Indra, O soul of the universe. You descend to this world to relieve the burden of the earth. Surabhi makes it quite clear in this verse that she has had enough of the leadership of imperfect demigods like Purandara, Indra, and now she is determined to go serve the Supreme Lord. Since Brahma has ordered her, her attempt to coronate Lord Krishna as her personal Lord is authorized by higher authority. Moreover, Lord Krishna himself comes down to earth to relieve the burden of self-destructive, mundane administration, and thus it is perfectly consistent with the Lord's own purpose that he has become the Lord of Surabhi. Since the Lord rules millions of universes, he can certainly take care of Mother Surabhi. In fact, Surabhi wanted to bathe the Lord for her own purification, and she earnestly makes her proposals to Vishwatma, the soul of the universe, Krishna, to Krishna. Rishika uvacha evam Krishnam upamantriya surabhi payasatmana Jayarakasha Gangaya Airavata Karodhrita Indra Surar Rishibhi Sakam Chodito Deva Matrabhi Abhyasin Chata Asarham Govinda Itachabhyatat. Shukadeva Goswami said, having thus appealed to Lord Krishna, Mother Surabhi performed his bathing ceremony with her own milk, and Indra, ordered by Aditi and other mothers of the demigods, anointed the Lord with heavenly Ganga water from the trunk of Indra's elephant carrier, Airavata. Thus, in the company of the demigods and great sages, Indra coronated Lord Krishna, the descendant of Dasharha, and gave him the name Govinda. According to the Acharyas, because Indra was embarrassed by his blunder of attacking Vrindavan, he is reluctant to worship the Lord. Therefore, the heavenly mothers, such as Aditi, encouraged him to go ahead and do so. Feeling authorized by the encouragement of demigods less offensive than he, Indra then bade the Lord. Indra discovered that the beautiful cowherd boy named Krishna is indeed the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tatragatastum burunar radadyo dayo gandharva vidyadhara siddhacharana jaguryasho loka malapaham hare surangana sannan rutu mudanvita. Tumburu, Narada, and other Gandharvas, along with the Vidyadhara, Siddhas, and Charanas, came there to sing the glories of Lord Hari, which purify the entire world. And the wives of the demigods, filled with joy, danced together in the Lord's honor. Tam tushtavur deva nikaya ketavo Yavakiram shad buddha pushpa vrishtibi Lokaparam Rivitim Apnuvam Strayo Gava Sadagam Anyan Payodritam. The most eminent demigods chanted the prayers of the Lord and scattered wonderful flowers and showers of flowers around him. All three worlds felt supreme satisfaction. The cows drenched the surface of the earth with their milk. The word Ketava means literally banners. The leading demigods are the emblems or banners of demigod race, and they took the lead in glorifying the Lord and covering him with an amazing shower of multicolored, fragrant flowers. Nana Rasogha Sarito Riksha Asan Madhusrava Akrishta Pachyo Shadhayo Girayo Bhibran Unmanin. Rivers flowed from various kinds of tasty liquid, trees exuded honey, edible plants came to maturity without cultivation, and hills gave forth jewels formerly hidden in their interiors. Krishna Bhikshita etani sarvani kurunandana naivairanya bhavam stata kuranyapi nisargata. O Parikshit, beloved of the Kuru dynasty, upon the ceremonial bathing of Lord Krishna, all living creatures, even those cruel by nature, became entirely free of enmity. Those corrupted by a type of sophisticated cynicism may mock these descriptions of paradisiacal word situation effected simply by worshipping the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, the modern man has created a hell on earth in his cynical rejection of heaven on earth, which is actually possible through Krishna consciousness. The situation described here, created simply by auspicious bathing ceremony of the Lord, is an authentic historical incident. Since history repeats itself, there is hope that the Krishna consciousness movement may again bring the world community to the brilliant reality of self-realized existence. Iti go gokula patim govindam abhishitcha anugnato yayo sakro vritto devadi bhirdivam. After he had ceremonially bathed Lord Govinda, who is the master of the cows, the cowherd community, King Indra took the Lord's permission and, surrounded by the demigods and other higher beings, returned to his heavenly abode. Thus ends the purpose of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 10th canto, 27th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, titled Lord Indra and Mother Surabhi Offered Prayers. Mantraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.